Hi guys, it's me again, Passport Brother Todd. Yeah, I know I got more than 2 shirts or 3 shirts, but anyway, I want to talk to you about pair bonding. Pair bonding is a woman's ability to bond emotionally and psychologically with their mate. When they pair bond, it leads to a closer attachment, less likely for the woman or the man to stray because it works both ways. You know, and people keep on YouTube keep saying that there have been studies showing that if a woman had more than like 5 sexual partners or different sexual partners, her ability to pair bond decreases dramatically. And I'm trying to say that no, that's incorrect. I've been trying to find these studies, and I haven't found one that people keep saying. So if you have a link, please put it in the comment section because I would like to see those studies. And if the study is not peer reviewed, means that it's just someone's opinion. Peer reviewed means that other people, other colleagues who are experts within our field has looked over the research, looked over the data, looked over the analysis, and independently verified the conclusions or the results. If it's not peer reviewed, it's just someone's opinion. All right? So, my hypothesis or my conclusion is that I'm 60 years old. I'm 60 years old, and from my observations of all the women I've known, that is not true. All right? Just because a woman has more than even 100 partners, she is able to still bond or pair bond with a mate. So, let me start off with a little background information, all right? Back in the 80s, I went to college, and one of my buddies was named Mark. And Mark lived in a 4-bedroom apartment with three girls. They all had their own bedrooms. So one day, I came over, and me and Mark was gonna go out and have a good time, right? So Mark was getting ready, right, he was getting ready. I heard some people talking into his roommate's Karen's room. So I decided to go in and join the conversation. So Karen had the master bedroom, and there were like 5 of them in her talking. So Karen had her closet door open, half of the closet. It was a sliding closet door, so half of it was open, and the other side was completely open. Or half of it was closed, and the other side was completely open. She had sweatshirts that was 2 rows deep that went from the floor all the way up to the top shelf, then from the shelf to the ceiling, all those sweatshirts. I couldn't see the other side of the closet, but that side of the closet that was open, the half, was filled with sweatshirts, right? So I asked Karen, where did you get so many sweatshirts, right? Karen replied or responded with, well, when you sleep over a guy's house, you gotta have something to wear home in the morning. Okay. Right. Okay. That's Karen. So let's skip ahead to after I graduated college. And I had a lot of female friends. And they all do the same thing over and over again. They would meet some guy on the weekends, like on a Friday or Saturday at a bar or a nightclub, have a date with them the following week, sleep with them either that week or the weekend. He would never call, and then they repeat the same process. So you might say it would go to maybe 2 guys in a month, right? Then I added it all up. There's only 52 weeks in a year, and you subtract out the holidays. By the way, when they go home for the holidays, a lot of times they hook up with ex-flings or ex-boyfriends or whatever. That leaves 15 to 20 men in a year that they have relationships with, right? And a lot of them did that, a lot of them. All right? But a lot of them did eventually get married. And they loved their husbands and they had kids and everything is fine. So they were still able to pair bond with these people. This one girl I met also when I was in college, it was Sue. Well, she just graduated. She was 22 years old, and she said she had slept with over 30 people. But she got married, had kids, the whole works, happily married, and satisfied with her husband. All right? Now, I noticed the ones that were not able to do this or got divorced was living in a world of delusional fantasy. For example, Kevin Samuels. He interviewed a woman who was 42 years old, overweight, and she looked 42, and she had 2 kids, right? And she said she wanted a high-value man, okay? One, she's delusional to think that she falls into a category of women who can get a high-value man, and she's in a fantasy world to think that it was even going to happen, or if it could ever could happen. So she's delusional. So she's living in a delusional fantasy, right? And a lot of women that Kevin Samuels interviewed all said they want a high-value man. And not just a high-value man, but one who's going to be monogamous, right? And Kevin Samuels kept telling these women, that's not going to happen. Most high-value men are not going to be monogamous because they do not have to. Because there's always another girl around the corner waiting in line just to be with him. For example, Hugh Hefner, a playboy, okay? Even at 85 years old, the man still had 18 and 20-year-old girls chasing after him. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, they got women chasing after them all over the damn place. These men at that level do not have to be monogamous in any kind of way because there's always more women coming down the pipeline, always waiting for their chance. But like I said, these women are living in a delusional fantasy world. So when it's happening is, when they reach 27 or 30 years old, they start hitting the wall. And also, the biological clock ticks in. They don't want to admit it, but they really want to have kids. And they know they're losing time out to be able to raise the kids and have them and raise them all, that other bunch of stuff. So they pick a guy who is not really what they really want, but he checks off most of the things on their list, and they think they could live with that. But after about 4 to 5 years, he's just not the one, because they have this big ass long laundry list of requirements, which no man can't really fulfill. They want a Brad Pitt, a Val Kilmer, a rock husband, a good-looking guy with a lot of money who's going to be monogamous to him. And that's not really going to happen. So they pick a guy who they like, but they're really not really in love with him, but they want kids. And because of that, it's the reason why they cannot pair bond with these men, because they were never really into these men from the beginning. For example, back in the 90s, there was a guy who married a woman. He was in his late 30s. He was in his early 30s. She was in her late 20s. They got married and then got divorced 4 years later. During the divorce proceedings, and she did file for divorce. During the divorce proceedings, she admitted that she never loved him in the first place, right? Well, he turned around after the divorce, sued her for fraud, because people forget that a marriage is still a legal contract. You cannot enter into a legal contract on the basis of fraud. The judge agreed with him, and he awarded him $100,000 that she had to pay, because she entered the contract under fraudulent pretenses, right? And I keep saying, it's not that these women cannot pair bond with their mates or the man if they have, 10,000 sexual partners. Because I have friends, or one friend who was an adult film actress. I have friends who are, ex-strippers. My friend Sean used to only date strippers, but that's Sean. They live in a delusional fantasy world. So if these researchers did a little bit more digging and did a more complete psychological analysis, they'll probably figure this out. They want a man who can do all of that stuff, clicks all of the boxes, and it's never going to happen. And that's the reason why Kevin Samuels kept telling them, buy a dog and die alone, because that's what's going to happen to you. Because no man can fulfill a delusional fantasy world. And the ones who can ain't going to do it. All right? And a lot of guys get into these relationships with these women thinking that these women are really into them, and they're not. For another example, okay, another Karen, a different one than the first one. She was an actress, a struggling poor actress. But she always lived in the best part of Chicago, right? And that's because she always found a guy who she could live with for about 4 to 6 months. I'm not too sure how she did it, but it's like after about 2 weeks, she was already moved into the guy's apartment. And I don't think the guys really realized it, because when we started meeting the girl, the whole relationship was going great. She's over. Then the next thing we know, after a week, she's over every night, and we're getting, a steady supply. So we're not going to question it. And the next thing we know, we don't really realize it, but she's over every damn night, and we don't realize it, that she had moved her ass into our apartment. And that's what Karen did. And it wasn't just Karen, but another girl named Jackie used to do the same thing. And Jackie's mother used to do the same thing back in the 60s and the 70s. Basically, what women are doing today, they have always done in the past. Like the story I told you about the Karen with all the sweatshirts. Women are doing the same thing today as they did back then. Look at the movie Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart. There's a gay sex scene in that movie. And I think her name is Laura McCall or whatever. She plays a hoe in that movie, right? But they don't put it all in your face as they do now, like on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. Back then, it was implied, it was talked about, but you knew what they were talking about. Like Laura McCall, they called her a hoe. She responded by saying that, what you did with that one guy out in the alley, that's the sex scene. That's the scene I'm talking about. So you knew what they were talking about. Then look at the movie Here to Eternity, 1954, I think it was. They did it in the middle of the afternoon on the beach. All right? Look at the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr., I think Dean Martin, and Frank Sinatra, the whole works. In one of the movies, all of them picked up different women at the nightclub or the casino. They all went back to the hotel room. And all the women are in the hotel room, in different hotel rooms with each man. And then each light went out in each hotel room. So you knew what was going on. So all the stuff the women are doing today, they always have done it, but it wasn't as much in your face now as it was back then. Okay? I took a marriage to family class back in college. And they did research to figure out when the first child was born and when the parents actually got married. And they discovered that over 50% of the kids were born, the wife was pregnant 50% of the time before they got married. All right? So which means that for England and the United States, 50% of the women were pregnant months before they got married. So people were doing, like I said, a lot of women back then were not virgins when they got married. And from the example I gave of Karen with all the sweatshirts, and also Sue with the 30 men, don't be surprised if grandma was a hoe. All right? And based upon all that observation and the women have known in the past and all that stuff, these women can pair bond with the man if they have had a lot of sexual partners. The ones who cannot usually means that he was never a guy she was truly, really interested in. All right? So when it comes to women in Thailand, saying that these women who were working in the adult entertainment services cannot pair bond with you and they have a lot of psychological issues. They're probably going to have psychological issues, but that's going to be based upon trust, not the fact that they've been with a whole bunch of different men. It's more like based upon, can I trust this guy? Can I trust him to really be there for me? Because all the other guys have been shit. All right? So that's what I want to say about pair bonding. Oh yeah, my both of my nephews are now passport brothers. One of them is about to go to Brazil. If I'd known that, he told me I would have met him in Brazil. All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm about to go back to Chicago for a little while and then up to back to Phuket, Thailand. Okay, later.